Are you guys shocked that this video is actually happening? Because I know I am. This video is so overdue. I've been asked to do this video a million times ever since I started my YouTube channel around 3 years ago. Ever since I started gaining followers on Instagram around 4 years ago. People always ask me, what filters do you use? What do you take your photos with? How do you edit your photos? And I've never done a video about it because I suck, basically. I don't know. I always make the excuse that, well, every photo is different, so like how am I meant to help? But really, I have favorite apps, I have favorite filters, I have specific things that I do for most photos. You might be just looking to edit your photos nicely that you are posting to your private Instagram for your friends and family, or you might be looking to grow on Instagram. Either way, I'm going to share with you guys how I edit my photos. If you guys are wondering where this jumper is from, it's actually my mom's and I stole it for this video because I love the color, and it's by Lee Matthews, I think. This is by Reliquia. I'll link it down below, and I will also link you guys these earrings. They're from Elvis et Moi. How pretty are they? So this is my Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of my outfits, a lot of fashion. I do some like beauty / selfie stuff, and then I also like to mix it up sometimes with like drinks or food, stuff from my travels. Yeah, I post a lot when I'm traveling. I loved my feed during this time when I was in Paris. But yeah, so this is just to give you guys a general idea of my feed and how I edit my photos. So if you like what you see, stick around and I will fill you guys in on what I do at the moment. The first question that I get asked all the time is, what do I take my photos with? And the answer is just my phone. This is an iPhone 8s Plus. And I've had this for about a year and I love it. I used to sometimes take photos on a camera and upload them on Instagram, but I find that they never do as well as iPhone photos. I just use my phone. Very rarely will there be a photo that's taken with a camera, and if that's the case, then I've got the Canon G7X PowerShot Mark II, which I'm filming on right now, and I've got this one, which is the Canon EOS 80D. Now that that's out of the way, what I want to do is I'm going to talk you guys through my favorite apps, but I don't just want to list them because I think that would be kind of boring. I'm actually going to take a raw photo and edit it with you guys. I'm going to do this for 2 photos. I'm going to do a selfie and then a bikini photo that I took by the pool, and I'm just going to use those as examples on how I edit and how I use my favorite apps. So I've got this whole folder full of editing apps, and I don't really use these ones or like this last bit too much, but I use this first bit quite a lot, all of these apps. So the first app that I'm going to open is Lightroom, and I've just imported the photo that I want to edit and post. This is the one. I took this yesterday with Kishama. So with this app, what I like to do first is adjust the lighting. This is already pretty good light, but a few of the shadows are a bit too harsh and dark for me, and I want to fix that. So I'm going to go into light, and you've just got some pretty regular settings here like exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, and you can kind of play around with that. So I'm going to grab the shadows, slide them up a little bit so you can see what that does, and you just kind of find your groove. So I don't like the shadows being too dark, and I'm going to do the same with the blacks tool, and that will help it even more. There we go. Because this photo doesn't really need exposure at all, but the shadows were just a bit dark for me. And we're just going to leave that for now and move on to color. Now this is what I love this app for, is that you can adjust the individual colors within the photos. So if we go into color, we've got some pretty basic settings like temperature and tint that I'm sure some of you guys would know. But then if you click in the top right hand corner, you click on mix, you can see that this is split up into different colors, and for each of these colors you can adjust the saturation, how bright or dark it is, and whether you want more of a green or purple tint. And this is honestly such a game changer, especially if you want a really nice aesthetic looking feed where all the photos work really well together. This app is an absolute must-have, and it's such a lifesaver. So I'm going to show you guys how this works. I'm going to use this blue and I'm going to bump up the saturation all the way, and you can see that just saturated the pool quite heavily, but no other part of the photo. So I want to bump up the saturation just a little bit, and now I'm playing with how bright I want it. I actually want it quite light, so we bump that up quite a bit. I think I want the pool to look a little less green, so I'm adjusting that up here. And now we've got before and after already. This looks so different. Another thing that I like doing is I like to darken my skin tone a little bit before you guys come for me, because I know that sounds weird. What I mean by that is that when you add exposure to a photo, or like when I just did, you take some of the shadows away. Sometimes it makes your skin look lighter as well, or most of the time it does. When you add exposure, because the photo needs exposure, you know, your skin tends to like be brightened up with it as well. And if you want your skin to go back to what it actually looks like, which in this case is a little bit darker, I will use the orange color and I will turn down the luminance a little bit. Then at the moment I also like taking out the yellow out of photos, which is a bit random, but it just makes them look a little bit more crisp and cool. I could adjust the bikini as well, make it look more saturated or brighter. I might actually add a little bit of saturation to make it pop. I'm gonna leave the green the way it is, and I'm going to leave this photo like that. So this was before and this is after. Such a big difference. I'm going to export this right now. So I've got two Facetune apps, and I know you guys might be wondering, Maxi, why the hell do you have Facetune? You literally made a video about how you hate people Facetuning their photos. But if you guys watch the video, as I'm sure you would know, what I meant is I hate people photoshopping their bodies, giving themselves side gaps and thin away some bigger booties. I just think it's unethical, and that's a whole nother topic. I have a whole video on that I will link down below, but I do use Facetune for other purposes. So I'm gonna open the old Facetune. In this photo, something that annoys me is this little paint splash down there, or whatever that is. I want that gone. And that's what I use the old Facetune app for. I will click on the patch tool down here. And what this does is you can replace a part of the image with another part of the image, if that makes sense. That's the easiest way to explain it. You can select the area that you want to cover, and then you can select wherever in the image what you want to cover it with. And obviously you want to use something that looks similar in texture and color. And this is how you can edit people out of your photos, rubbish or anything lying on the ground that you didn't see before, dirt, like anything you don't want in the photo is so easy to edit out using this tool. That's much better. That was really pissing me off. There is the pool toy as well. I could probably edit that out, but because it's in a more difficult spot, it would take so long, so I'm just gonna leave it. I don't care about it that much. I also just want to add that I don't do this whole process for every single one of my photos. Every photo is different. Every photo requires different filters and different kinds of love. Sometimes I just use one app, sometimes I'll use two, sometimes I use 6. It really just depends. Okay, now I've opened Facetune 2, and what I like to use is the details tool. And I really like this tool to bring out anything like my jewelry, accessories, clothing items, things that I really want to pop in the photo. I will use this detail tool and just go over them. Like the rings, for example, I really want them to pop. My earrings a little bit more, and I will show you guys this tool a lot more when I edit the selfie, because in photos like this, like full body shots, I don't really use this a lot, but just my necklace a little bit, my eyebrows, and I always zoom back out and see that it doesn't look crazy. This bow right here is really cute, so I want that to stand out. And then my face is a little bit shiny, so I'm gonna go in with the mattifying tool, and I'm just gonna go over the areas. And obviously you can see this does a whole lot, but I'm not going to use it to this extent. I zoom back out and then I adjust how strongly I want it. I just want it a little bit so I look a little bit less oily, and that's all I'm gonna do in Facetune. That's all I like doing. I don't edit my body, I don't do any of that stuff. This is different to giving yourself a whole different body. Just my 2 cents. And now we're going into my favorite app of all. All of my photos go through this app, and it is VSCO Cam or VSCO Cam, whatever you want to call it. And I actually have it at the bottom of my screen because I use it every day. So I will open this, and I actually pay for a subscription to this, so I think I get all of the filters, but I've got my favorites at the front. I love A4, that's what I'm using again at the moment. HB1 and HB2, I don't use that much. I really like them, but I just don't like them in my feed, but they're really great for summer photos. The J series is really good, especially J5, 4 and 2. Q5 is a great summer filter. A6 is a great classic that a lot of people use. B1 and X5 are my favorite black and white filters. The M series is really interesting, especially if you want a more sort of vintage looking photo. And I used to add a filter of about +10, which now just looks really ugly to me. And I just prefer going a lot lower. So I usually will go anywhere from like 1.5 to like 4. I don't really go higher than 4 or like 4.5, it really depends, but you know, mainly like around 2.5, something like that. This is A4. I'm not really feeling A4 for this photo. I think I'm gonna use M2. I'm gonna do 4.5 of M2. And then in the tools, I love adding a little bit of grain at the moment, and I see a lot of people doing that. You can see it just gives it that really cool like vintage effect. And I will add about 3.5. I usually like to sharpen my image as well by about 1 or max 2. Then I'm gonna crop this a little bit just above. Oh, I actually don't know. Do I want the foot showing? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it like this. And that is the photo pretty much done. Now what I like to do is I use an app called Planoly. This is a great app if your feed is important to you. You can actually plan it with this app. So you link it to your Instagram account, and then all of your posts that you've already posted will show up. And then you can add any other photos that you want, and you can actually switch them around. So I will add the photo and I will put it next to my most recent post if I want to post it. And I will kind of see what that looks like and see if it works. I kind of want to post something in between there, not necessarily this, but I kind of feel like the photo would be better off here instead of next to this one. So then I will go back into my photos, have a look at what else I could post that would work nicely, and that's kind of how I plan my feed. And I always come back to this app and like rearrange things and see what will work best, and that helps a lot. So yeah, that's that photo all done. That was a pretty standard editing process for me, but let's get into the next one because there's a bunch of other apps that I also want to show you guys. So the next photo that we're doing is a selfie, and for this one I don't really need Lightroom, so we're just gonna open Facetune 2. So the first thing that I like doing is I use again the details tool for my jewelry. I'm obsessed with doing this. I always do this because I love jewelry, I love earrings especially, and I always just go in and make them stand out that much more. Doing my rings. Usually while I'm using the tools, I will have them bumped up all the way so I can see what I'm doing and where I'm applying them kind of. And then I will zoom out and then I will see how strong I actually want that to be. So with the jewelry, I like it to be quite high. I really like it to pop. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to whiten my eyes a little bit. Not because they're not white enough, but because they just look a little bit dull because of the light that I took this photo in. So I'm going to start whitening this area, bump it up all the way so I can see what I'm doing. And with all of these little tools, it's mainly just a swiping motion, so it's super easy. I think the key is to not get carried away and to not use too much, because it just makes it so bloody obvious and it looks so ugly. Like if I just left it like this, I'd just look like a crazy person. So we're gonna tone this down all the way to about 40. Then I'm gonna go back in with the details tool, back to the eyes. And I like going over the lash line and the lashes. And that just makes them a bit darker, makes them stand out a bit more. I do it on the bottom as well. And then I just keep going in. I always save in between the steps because you might not want your eyelashes to be as detailed as your eyebrows or you know whatever, so I always save in between and then just go back. And yeah, it's really easy. I like doing the inner corners as well. Sometimes, you know, you apply a bomb highlight and then at the end of the day the light isn't hitting it, or maybe it's come off a little bit because you've been wearing it for a few hours and it's like, well, I didn't do my makeup for 2 hours for it to look like shit, even though it looks really good in person. And the highlighter is already there. I'm not adding anything, I'm just accentuating. And then I go onto my lips. I love going over like the cupid's bow and the highlighted part of my lips. Then I will go into the smooth tool, and sometimes I will smooth my skin a little bit, not everywhere. I just like doing like little patches, like for example up here you can see quite a lot of texture on my forehead, and I think it just looks a little bit nicer if I just smooth that out a little bit. And the key for me is that I just go in a little bit. I still like showing my imperfections. So this is the before of the photo and this is after. And now I'm gonna go into VSCO Cam again. And I think I'm gonna do a 4 for this. Maybe 3. Yeah, I really like A4 on this. I'm gonna sharpen this a little bit. I want to add some grain. And then I'm going to get rid of some of the shadows. Just bump that up to 1, maybe a little less warm. This photo is looking very warm to me. So I'm gonna save that. And now I'm gonna add another app. This is called Afterlight. This is one of my favorite apps for sort of vintage overlays. Whenever I use this, I get so many questions. What is on your photo? So I don't really like the filters in this, but what I do like is these different packs that they have of like overlays that you put on top of the photo. So they've got Dusty, Light Leak, Instant Film, and then Wonder, which I don't have. I've just got the first three. I love the Dusty pack to give you that really vintage vibe. So yeah, this is what they look like, and you can adjust how strong you want them to be. You can flip them around, and they are just really great. I think I'm actually going to use this one. I really like it. I like bumping these up quite high because I think if you can't see them properly, it just looks like your photo is bad quality or there's something on your lens. I also really love like the light leaks. I haven't used them in a while, but they can be really fun, and you can be quite in charge of what you want them to look like. You can change the colors and where they're sitting, and this can be a really fun way to add kind of a personal touch to your photos, and also a great way to establish a really good feed. If you want all of your photos to have something in common, you can add these little light leaks or vintage filters, and it'll make your feed look a lot more professional and put together. But I don't really want any light leaks on this. We're just gonna save it like that. Then we're gonna open another app and this is called Camera Bag. This is like one of the worst apps that I have on my phone. It's so poorly designed and just not great. I don't think it's ever been updated, and I just like this one for one particular frame that I also get asked about all the time. And this is what it looks like. It's this like vintage camera frame that I think looks really cool with certain photos. So they have a bunch of like random frames. Like this app is so random, like I don't know what this is. But there's a few like cool ones in here. I think I've used this kind of style before. So yeah, most random app, but that's where I found this frame that I really like. So we're gonna save that. And this is the finished photo. I think it looks really good. I'm actually really keen to post this. Now, I wanted to show you guys some other apps that I haven't used in here. Pic Collage is my favorite collage app. It's really easy to use and you can do all sorts of things. So if you're looking to collage photos, I would recommend this app. Then there's also Lomograph. I don't use this a lot because I find the filters really intense and you can't adjust how strong you want them to be. But this is really fun for those filters that are meant to make your photos look like they were taken with like an instant camera. It's that kind of style. I've just opened this photo back up. So you've got the filters down here. Yeah, as you can see, they're quite intense, but like this is actually really cool. I like this one sometimes. And what I like about this app that's pretty fun is that you can't really adjust them, but whenever you tap on the screen, the filter that you're using right now will change slightly, like the specs will change slightly or the color. Snapseed is a really great app to adjust the lighting in your photo. I'm just gonna use this photo to show you guys. So this is pretty nice light, but this corner here is very dark. On the other side as well, like just where my hair hits my neck, it's like black in there, and I want to brighten that up a little bit. So I would use the selective tool, and you can select an area. You can select how big or small you want it to be just by zooming in and out, and then you can bump up the brightness. You can also play with the saturation of that area, the contrast or the structure. So I just bumped up the brightness a little bit. This is before and this is after. Again, doesn't make a huge difference to the photo, but if you are one of those people that likes to be really detailed with their photos and you really like to be in control of the lighting and the colors, then this is another great app. Those are pretty much all of my favorites that you guys need to know about. To make life easier for you guys, I'm definitely going to leave them all in the description box down below. This isn't sponsored by any of the apps, wish it was. I also wanted to touch on some general tips when it comes to actually taking photos. Number one is take lots of photos. When Kisham and I go out to take photos, we usually end up taking around 500 to 600 photos. That might sound ridiculous, but that is how you get a good photo, by taking a lot of them, and then you have a lot to choose from. Most of the time when I take 500, there's gonna be about 20 that I like, and then maybe 5 that I really love, and that's just how you get good photos. So take as many as you can. My second tip would be to use the burst function. If you want to take photos that are more candid looking, or like in between motions, like you spinning around or flipping your hair, or just like if you want it to look candid rather than posed, use the burst option where you just keep pressing down and it just takes photos. That was a great explanation. Burst is also really handy if you're asking a family member or someone to take photos who maybe doesn't love doing it. Maybe you feel a little bit awkward with them and you just want to get it over and done with. You know what I mean? Like for me, sometimes it's a case when I'm out to dinner with my family, I'm looking good, but I don't want to have a 1-hour photo shoot at dinner in the first place with my family because it's just rude and obnoxious. And also I feel a little bit awkward like asking my parents to take a photo of me sometimes. But if you just ask them to take a burst, I've only just started doing this recently with my mum, it's a game changer because, you know, you give them the phone and go, can you take a quick photo of me? And then you go back and you can do a few different things, and then you will probably have 50 different photos to choose from, rather than when you just ask them to take a photo and they will take 2 and 1 of them will be out of focus. That's just the experience that I have with some people like my parents or even certain friends, or you know, and it's just because not everyone's that into taking 1,000 photos of themselves, which I understand. Another tip would be to actually know your poses and know your facial expressions that you like for yourself. Practice at home in front of the mirror what looks flattering for your body or just what you like. What I also like doing is before I leave the house in a certain outfit, I will usually stand in front of the mirror and actually pose and have a look at what looks flattering for that certain outfit, because sometimes it can be different depending on what you're wearing. And then my last tip is that you have to stop caring what people think. I completely understand that it can feel awkward to take photos in a public place where there's a lot of people, but you really have to just let go of that because it's all in your head. People do not care that much about you. It sounds harsh, but it's actually really beautiful. People have their own shit to worry about. People have their own lives. They don't care that much about you. You're not on their minds that much at the end of the day, especially when it's complete strangers. Someone would go, oh weird, like why are they taking so many photos? Think that to themselves and then, you know, shrug and go, whatever, like I'm gonna continue on with my day. No one will continue to think about you for like days on end. Most people don't care, and at the end of the day you need to get that shot. So for me, I rarely feel awkward anymore. If I need to try 4 different times and there's still the same people standing there watching me, I don't care. Why would I? I'm probably never gonna see them again, and they're probably not gonna think about it again as well because they don't care that much. That is pretty much everything that I wanted to touch on in this video. This is such a broad topic, at least to me, so maybe I've forgotten something. Also, I'm doing a lot with my hands. Let's stop that. Let's calm down. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to see more, it actually helps me out so much. Thumbs up helps me out so much as well. I'm posting 2 to 3 times a week now, so make sure that you tune back in for the next videos. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.